Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Akila Hazira binti Amir Hamzah. I'm from KB 52G. In this video, I want to talk about the kadazandusun culture, which is a birth tradition, life marriage, and this tradition. So, the first one is a birth tradition. The beautiful journey of motherhood is often heralded in traditional communities as a sacred chapter of life, honored with dedicated customs and lore. The kadazandusun people are no different when it comes to respecting and cherishing our mothers. From pregnancy all the way up to the delivery of the baby, the well-being of the mother is placed in the hands of the midwife. An elderly woman of high esteem amongst the villagers, the midwife plays a critical role in caring for the mother before, during, and after childbirth. She guides the expecting mother through numerous aspects of motherhood, such as reminding her of the important taboos to obey, preparing traditional medicine from the roots of trees, herbs, and other organic sources, as well as messaging the mother before and after the delivery of the baby to soothe and relieve labor pains. Based on analysis conducted by Blaise 1981 years, the common terms of tabers Pali or Busun had been reconstructed by another researcher named Otto Dem Wolf. In conjunction with traditional customs, violating breaching taboo will result in consequences to the wrongdoer. Disrespecting the elders in the village represents the most severe taboo violation possible in the kadazan society. Those transgress against the elderly will suffer abdominal swelling. The category of elders or other people broadens to include inanimate objects in the definition as well. In the kadazan language, specific terms such as Fusun, Momusun, Pokobusun exist, which mean to curse someone. Next, after giving birth, when a kadazan woman enters labor, the wongkong leaf will hang over the door frame to notify residents of the newly welcomed child and serve as an invitation for guests to enter the room. To the kadazan in the Membangkot district, the komborongo is commonly used as an amulet as part of custom surrounding births. The dried roots of the komborongo are cut into pieces and shaped into a necklace to the wound by the baby. The talisman is said to prevent disturbances from evil spirits, which will cause the child to cry incessantly. Furthermore, komborongo plants are sown around the family's home as a safety precaution to bar the entry of malevolent entities. Apart from that, the newborn should not be brought out in public, not even to the veranda of the house until considered strong enough to do so. The weight of the Rogan Gayo, malevolent spirits, small, open-mouthed bells and clappers are worn around the baby's neck. Next, naming ceremonies. Commonly, the name of the newborn baby will be chosen by the grandparents. Names selected are usually inspired by the natural world, such as derivation of the names of trees and animals. Examples of traditional kadazan names for boys include Gimbang, Kunul, Kurupang, Kalumau, Gantuang, Imburit, Ampingan, Sangan, Werisamita, Rengkumas, Ansayu, Baimin, Salut, Amin, Nani, and Maina are classic names for kadazan girls. Bardaka 2010 years observes that the kadazan people hold a celebration known as the full moon birthday, which takes place when the newborn turns 1 month old. This event is followed by the shaving of the child head of the first time. In essence, the respect and love we have for our mothers are essential by the care we take in observe the warm traditions surrounding pregnancy and birth. Integral to the family values embedded within kadazandusun society. This custom serves as an homage to the women who nurture the young seeds of our community. Next is the life marriage. In the context of communication, parents are responsible for choosing their son's future wife. Once the proposal is accepted by the woman's family, the wedding ceremony will take place at a time agreed by both parties and is usually done at night at the bride's house. On the first night, the husband has to spend the night at his wife's family home, and the bride and groom will be buried to the male and female family home for 3 times in a row. Before the bride and groom are allowed to enter the host of the male or female family sings or selangkohan sinding and is answered by the entourage. Selangkohan sinding is intended to welcome the arrival of the newlyweds but is expressed in the form of singing. One step closer. When the girl's parents found out the intelligence could be considered, they would determine the day of the male party representative to come carrying the heirloom ring made of brass. The ring is also called the ring wedding for a dream. The ring must be bought in the morning. Once the girl's parents have received the ring, they must clean themselves on the day as well. They should not eat or drink anything that could be intoxicating. The ring was placed under the pillow of the girl's parents. On that night, they must be in a clean state that is not drunk. That night too, one of the spouse or both at the once will have a dream. Sometimes they have different dreams, sometimes almost identical, and sometimes completely similar. Usually the dream has 3 conditions. First, God dreams. This means intelligence can be passed on to the courtship process. Second, nightmares. But the nightmare can be repaired or corrected. This means that the engagement process can be arranged on the condition that the man must pay the sum of the hit of the dream to the person who dreams. An example of a dream in question is like dreaming about the broken items such as pots or dishes. Then the broken items were repaired by the man. Third, nightmares. An example of a nightmare is dreaming of pots, pans, dishes, jars, or any other items that have broken. This means that the intelligence process stops there and the marriage cannot take place. The next day, the girl's parents call all her immediate family together to discuss their dreams. The time and nature of dreams are described as clearly as possible. It was in that meeting that they analyzed the good and bad of the dream. Upon completion of the family meeting, the girl's parents call a representative of the male party to inform them of the outcome of their dreams. At the time, the ring used to wait for the dream was returned. At the time, the male wakil was told whether he could get engaged by paying a sugate for the hit of the dream because the nightmare could be repaired, or he could not get engaged because of the nightmare. If the dream is good, the engagement process continues. Negotiation between the man and the woman's parents revolve only around the terms of the marriage delivery, determining the date of the wedding and the last rate of duration of the wedding party. A pre-arranged engagement cannot be denied. Otherwise, the defaulting party has to pay all or half of the delivery that was determined. When tying the engagement first, this payment is made before a customary call. Wedding deliveries usually consist of various types of food, tools for custom, and items to strengthen the spirit. Delivery items to strengthen the spirit are known as tasor. Tasor is a battle knife made of copper or silver. This tasor is bought by the bride herself on the wedding day. The tool for custom is called tinokol, which consists of canang, gong, and tajam. The amount is according to the degree of the married person. These items are also brought on the wedding day. The type of food is pork or buffalo, and the amount depends on the family ability. The animal is given to the woman 2 or 3 days before the wedding day. This is because the animal will be slaughtered and cooked for the meal ceremony at the bride's house later. As long as the degree of marriage must be made with customary ceremonies, religious veneration, revelry, and eating and drinking. The shortest party is between 2 or 3 days at the bride's house. For those who can afford it, the ceremony is held for 7 to 14 days. Although the couple's marriage was legal in terms of religion and belief, they still could not be united on the first day and night. At the earliest, they can only unite on the second night, some even take the next week or two. It all depends on how big or how long the wedding is being held. To enable the bride and groom to be united, a special ceremony is made. The bride and groom are required to eat in the same plate and bowl. The ceremony was attended by the families of the parties. The groom's parents cannot add all the present at the bride's home before the couple is legally united. Wedding ceremony. Wedding deliveries usually consist of various types of food, tools for customs, and items to strengthen the spirit. Delivery items to strengthen the spirit are known as tassel. Tassel is a battle knife blade made of copper or silver. This tassel is brought personally by the bride on the wedding day. The tool for custom is called tinoco, which consists of canang, gong, and tajau. The amount is according to the degree of the married person. These items are also brought on the wedding day. The type of food is pork or buffalo, and the amount depends on the family ability. This animal is given to the woman 2 or 3 days before the wedding day. This is because the animal will be slaughtered and cooked for the meal ceremony at the bride's house later. A tajau containing rice tapai called lihing must be brought on the wedding day. Lihing is tapai that has become wine. Lihing is drunk and masked at a wedding party at the bride's house. Apart from the 4 deliveries that are the basis for the kadazan people, there are several other items that are also brought to complete and beautify the delivery ceremony. This is of the promise made during the engagement ceremony, also based on the ability of both parties, as long as the degree of marriage must be made with customary ceremonies, religious veneration, revelry, and eating and drinking. The shortest party is between 2 or 3 days at the bride house. For those who can afford it, the ceremony is held for 7 to 14 days. Although the couple marriage was legal in terms of religion and belief, they still could not be united on the first day and night. At the earliest, they can only unite on the second night. Some even take the next week or two. It all depends on how big or how. To enable the bride and groom to be united, a special ceremony is made. A bride and groom are required to eat in the same plate and bowl. The ceremony was attended by the families of both parties. The groom's parents cannot add all the presents at the bride's home before the couple is legally united. The wedding ceremony of the kadazan people took 3 days. The most important thing in a wedding ceremony is myohin pinisi, which is the ceremony of changing a lump of rice. To begin the ceremony, the bride and groom sit face to face in the middle to a circle of girls, dressed traditional in black. In front of them is a pot rice, and the bride and groom will hold the rice and the pot to make a lump the size of a chicken egg. Then the two will exchange the lump of rice, then eat it. The myohin pinisi ceremony is a wedding view according to the traditional way. After the ceremony, food and drinks were served to the guests present. The gong is sounded again, followed by the sumozo dance performance. Last but not least is this tradition. For the kadazan community, they believe in a dying address called mogambira. This can be assumed by the shaman through a dream, where a prediction will be given by the shaman. The cure of disease can also be known in the same way. When this occurs in the traditional Dusun community, the family members of the deceased will be hit the kong tontong sana, which aims to inform there is a death in the family members and accompany down from the house or menuhon to try to help the spirit of the deceased. Or kedua-dua through objects that taken around the head of the deceased house to be smeared on the crown of the deceased head in the hope that the deceased will live again. During deeds, there are several customs that are performed when a deed occurs among the kadazan community. Among them are the custom of telling, vigilance, and moginupus. Next is inform. When one of the kadazan community dies, all the villagers will be notified of the deeds. This is important because every member of the community needs to work together so that the grief is not only experienced by the family of the deceased. Since the kadazan community is rich in taboos, in the matter of deeds, the taboo is also very much impressive. Every member of the kadazan community cannot do any work, especially when funeral ceremonies are performed. The work of planting rice is strictly prohibited. According to belief of the kadazan community, if they do the work is useless because it does not bring result. In addition, it is possible that the disease will affect them as well. However, the table only applies to those who live in the vicinity, while the kadazan community who live far away can still do any work. Next is careful. After bang baths and the whole body wipe, the corpse will be dressed in beautiful clothes and then sprinkled with fragrant water. If during the life of the deceased smoked cigarettes, family members will put cigarettes in the mouth of the deceased so as not to puff. The same goes for the cigarette that is inserted on his lips for a while. The body will be kept at home for a few days for 3, 5 or 7 days before during burial. While the corpse is placed in the living room, the corpse will be well cared for so that no animals step on it, especially black cats. The kadazan community believe that if a black cat steps on, the corpse will wake up and rage so that it can kill those who are there. The purpose of the watch is to keep an eye on a diamond or gene that resembles a large bird called a landing. They believe the bird was about to fly the corpse. To avoid the bird's attack, they hang clothes around the corpse. The bird will think that the clothes are human bodies. The atmosphere in the house shall also be quiet. No one is allowed to speak really or angry. Only the beating of gongs and drums can be heard. There is hammer slowly. Lama drum is called surabaya. The songs are only hammered 3 times a day, namely during sunrise, sunset, and midnight. Next is funeral. In January, the kadazan community will carry corpse using coffins or tajau. So the corpse is first put in a wrap clothes and tied to a stick to make it easy for people to lift the corpse. The stretches is often accompanied by the beating of gongs, drums, the explosion of firecrackers or rifles. The songs are performed continuously all the way to the cemetery. It is better if the song continues to scare the ghost than to sit into the corpse. Upon arrival at the grave, the corpse is entered by an old man who is also wearing in the grave pit. The hole was made with green betel leaf to keep the spirits of the people who follow to the grave from staying in the hole. Then the corpse is placed in a hole and a banyan tree is built on top of the center of the corpse. After that, the body was spread with soil. The purpose of doing so is to find out whether the deceased remembers his family or not. In the tree spots, it means he still remembers his family, but if not, the deceased is considered to have forgotten those who are still alive. For the kadazan community, from among those who are, the bodies of their family members will be placed in a large tajau and tightly closed before being buried. As soon as the corpse is carried to the cemetery, a large and more beautiful carved tajau will be placed over the grave. There are also among the kadazan community who put the tajau into the hang-all. The corpse placed in the tajau daham will not be placed in the grave but instead in the house for a few days or placed in a built hut. This is to wait for distant relatives to pay their last respect to the corpse before being buried. After that, a small hut with a leaf or zinc roof and board walls full of beautiful carvings will be erected in the middle of the cemetery. In the middle of the hut are placed several types of clothes and clothing, eventually filled with betel nut, cigarettes, and so on according to the ability and preference of the deceased during life. Family members of the deceased have to deliver food every evening for 7 consecutive days. According to the belief of the kadazan community, believe the spirit of the deceased moved to another place. The spirit still need food from his surviving family. Food items prepared for the deceased should not be tampered with by anyone. If disturbed, a person will be fined 5 ringgit or a chicken. According to the belief of the kadazan community, if the times of burial is done on a rainy day, it means that the deceased is in grief, which is like to the rain that falls is the tears of the deceased. If it hurts, it means that the deed will be happy later. For those who manage this, family members are obligated to present them with a handkerchief and 2 sheets of cotton thread. In addition, will also be given buffalo or beef. When returning to their respective homes, they cannot continue to go up to the house because they are required to take a shower first. All clothes were removed and soaked until the next day. Items borrowed to manage the affairs of the deceased at home. When returned, should be present a black or white chicken to the owner of the goods. Item or property in the house of the deceased must be clean and washed clean. That's all from me. Thank you.